So, what if you could own a tiny piece of a skyscraper, or a sliver of a famous painting, or even a bar of gold, and then trade it as easily as you send a text? I mean, really think about that. That's the huge promise behind a technology called tokenization, and it might just change everything we think we know about ownership itself. But let's back up a second and start with a feeling we've all had. You know when you agree on a price for something big, like a house, but by the time you actually get the keys, the final bill is thousands of dollars higher? It's infuriating, right? So, why does that happen? Where does all that extra money actually go? Well, it turns out the answer to that problem might just be found in some new tech. We're going to dive into how it can unlock the value that's kind of trapped inside our physical stuff, making owning things simpler, way cheaper, and a lot more direct. Yeah, that extra money, a huge chunk of it goes to middlemen. When you're buying a house, you're not just paying the seller. Oh no, you're also paying brokers, lawyers, banks, escrow agents. Every single one adds another step to the process, and every single one takes a cut. And this, right here, is the first massive promise of tokenization, slaying the middleman. The whole goal is to create a direct, totally verifiable link between you, the buyer, and the seller, and just cut out that entire expensive chain of people in between. I mean, just think about the old way of buying a house. It's this whole long, drawn-out ordeal, right? You got to find a broker, then hire a lawyer, then get the bank loan. Each stage is a headache that can add weeks, if not months, to the process, not to mention thousands of dollars in fees. Okay, now get ready for the complete opposite. In a tokenized world, the deed to that house is just represented by a unique digital token. The whole transaction becomes as simple as you and the seller agreeing on a price, and one of you sends the token to the other. That's it. Done. Ownership is transferred instantly and securely. So there's actually a fancy word for this whole idea of getting rid of the go-betweens. It's called disintermediation. And it's really the engine that makes all of this work. You remove the layers between you and the thing you're buying, and, surprise, surprise, you remove the costs that came with those layers. You know, a really simple way to get your head around this is to think about buying apples. If you go to a supermarket, the price you pay has to cover the trucking, the packaging, the store's rent, all of it. But if you go to a farm stand, it's just you and the farmer. It's direct and it's cheaper. Tokenization basically wants to create that farm stand experience for almost anything you can imagine. Okay, so saving money is awesome, but what if this tech could do more than just that? What if it could actually help you make money in totally new ways? This brings us to its next, even bigger promise, turning pretty much everyone into an investor. This quote just nails it perfectly. For basically all of history, the world's best performing assets, stuff like blue chip art, has been totally off limits to the average person. It's been a private playground for the ultra wealthy. And we're not talking about small potatoes here. These are assets that have historically crushed the stock market. You're talking about paintings that can jump in value by a whopping 500% or even more. The question is, why shouldn't everyone get a shot at that kind of growth? This is where this idea of fractional ownership becomes a game changer. Think of it just like your fantasy sports league. You can't afford to buy an entire NFL team, right? Of course not. But you can draft individual players. Well, it's the same idea. You probably can't buy a whole Picasso, but with tokenization, you could buy a digital share of it, basically drafting it for your own investment portfolio. And look, this isn't just a fun idea for art collectors. This applies to so many other things. Think about real estate. What if you could own a tiny piece of an apartment building in Tokyo, even if you live in Toronto, and just collect your share of the rent check every single month? Here's how to think about it. Imagine an apartment building is just a big vending machine. With tokenization, you and a bunch of other people can all chip in to buy it. You don't have to worry about the hard stuff like managing the property. That's like stocking the sodas. You just get to split the passive income, all the coins it collects, at the end of the month. Pretty cool, right? All right, so we've covered making things cheaper to buy and easier to invest in. But there's a third huge shift here, making physical stuff digital and portable. How do you take something solid, heavy like a bar of gold, and make it as light and easy to send as an email? I mean, take gold. Everyone knows it's the ultimate safety net, a great store of value. But actually owning physical gold, it's a huge pain. Storing it safely costs a fortune. Trying to move it is a logistical nightmare. And you can't exactly walk into a coffee shop and pay with a gold nugget. The solution here is something called an asset-backed token. Now, don't let the name scare you. It's a really simple idea. It's just a digital certificate of ownership. It means that for every one of these tokens out there, there's a real physical amount of that asset, like 1 gram of gold sitting securely in an audited, verified vault somewhere. The best way to picture this is the old cloakroom ticket trick. You go to a fancy party, you hand over your coat, and they give you a little ticket. That ticket isn't your coat, right? But it's your undeniable claim to the coat. Here, the gold in the vault is your coat, and the digital token in your wallet is the ticket. You can trade that ticket instantly with anyone in the world, and whoever holds it has the absolute right to claim the real thing. It makes the unmovable movable. So let's pull all these threads together. We've talked about cutting out middlemen, opening up investing to everyone, making physical stuff easy to trade. What's the one big core idea that's connecting all of it? When you strip everything else away, it all comes down to this one kind of mind-bending idea. Whether it's a house, a painting, or a bar of gold, tokenization separates the physical object from its economic value. It takes that value, turns it into digital information that can be chopped up, traded, and sent around the globe in a second, all while the real asset stays put, safe and sound. And that, of course, leaves us with a huge, exciting question. Once we all get used to this idea, that the value of pretty much anything can be unlocked from its physical body, what becomes possible then? What other assets, what other industries are just waiting for their turn? What's the next big barrier to fall?